All right, so looking at the survey questionnaire and the survey interview, as far as time goes, they're clearly the quickest. That's why you do it. You can survey a lot of people in a short amount of time. There are some costs for questionnaires, the paper, maybe you have to mail it out and so forth. The environment, it's both a negative and a positive. It is positive if you ask people to fill out a questionnaire at work about work, or ask, like the school survey would be in the natural environment. If they mail it to you, or you're asked a survey of musical choices and you're in math class, well, that's kind of a foreign environment, so it's not really a positive thing. The fact that they know they're being studied, that's a negative, and we all know that if they're studied, they know they're being studied, they might change answers or, for effect more than anything, and lie or answer the question incorrectly, or they don't understand the question since it's a written questionnaire, makes the surveys not always accurate. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times on surveys you'll see that there is a margin of error, and so they assume that there's going to be some mistakes or some omittance of answers, or just misread things. As far as an interview goes, again, it's quick. It's not as quick as a questionnaire, so it's still a positive, but not maybe as quick as a questionnaire. There are some costs, same thing. You might need paper, you might need a room to interview the people in. Natural and foreign environment, same thing. If I'm interviewing you about math in a math class, that's great. If I'm interviewing you about your sports preferences in math class, that's not really a good thing. You need to kind of be in the same environment. The fact that they know, and especially with an interview, they know that you know who they are. And so on a questionnaire, you're anonymous. On an interview, you're not quite as anonymous. So clearly that's a disadvantage. And they tend to lie on an interview. Face-to-face, especially if the topic is touchy. If they don't want you to know certain things, they feel uncomfortable, they'll tend to lie, again, to make it better or to make it worse. All right, the last few things we need to talk about are population. Now, these apply to all methods, whether you're talking about an experiment, a questionnaire survey, participant observation, any of those 5 methods, you need to know what the population is. And the population is the entire group a person wants to study. Okay, that's the entire group. So if I wanted to study how Iowans are going to vote, my population is everyone that is 18 and older that's registered to vote in Iowa. Now, I certainly wouldn't ask every one of those people their opinions on the voting, but that's the whole group. So I would take a random sampling. And again, this is a method that randomly selects some people out of that population, and every member has an equal chance of being selected for the question, okay, or for the survey, or for the experiment. You can do that by a lottery, putting everybody's name in a hat and randomly drawing them. Now, they don't do things quite that primitive now. Now it's a computer that lottery picks the names. It's no different than lottery pick for being called as a juror. You could say every 10th name, every 15th name, every 77th name. So you have a list and you just count down to 50. That's a person. Count to 50 again. That's a person. You can also stratify this sampling by putting them in specific categories or groups. If your method is important to know, how do men answer versus how do women answer, how do 50-year-olds answer versus 20-year-olds, then you would want to stratify your entire population. So you would take your population, divide them or subdivide them into those categories, and then randomly select from a lottery 20 women's names, or 20 men's names, or 20 people that are 50 years old, or 20 people that are 30 years old. And so if that's important, you would do that. If you don't care how boys or girls answer, you wouldn't stratify it. You would just randomly get 50 people, and if that meant it was 40 men and 10 women, who cares? But if you need to know what that is, then you would stratify that random sampling.